Warning, this podcast contains themes of extreme violence and murder. Subject matter may be offensive to some listeners. Discretion advised.
One body at a time. Slowly, paramedics and firemen carried the 5 out of the barn tonight. It took about 8 hours for local police and federal agents to dig through the floor of the barn and exhume the bodies.
Welcome to another episode of Evil Transgression, your homicide headquarters here in podcasting. I'm Josh, and with me as always, Dustin and Rex.
What's up? Hey.
What's going on?
Hi.
Hello. What up?
What's up?
Nothing. What do we got today? Let's get to it.
Man, he's
Cut
just
straight
yeah.
to
Let's go.
Man, no fun.
Man, we all know
Party
know
pooper.
how somebody's treating home life. Get right to it. We're gonna discuss a horrible person today. Surprise.
Yeah.
Some would probably call a cult leader.
I like cult leaders.
Like
That's
Manson.
Probably going to put you on some kind of list.
They're my favorite.
Suspect.
But how's everybody doing this week? Good?
Good.
Great.
Still
Other-
battling this beautiful snow?
Awful.
Well, snow along with freezing rain, given 2-inch thick snow. It's like sheets of ice.
Yeah.
We actually have another storm coming tonight. So.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Man, I thought it was supposed to warm up to the 40s.
I think it is next week in the 50s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're going to flood.
Busting out the
Can't
shorts.
wait.
Busting out the shorts.
Hey, I still don't wear a jacket anywhere. I went and got my haircut yesterday and just wearing a t-shirt and pants.
You're that guy.
I am.
You know that kid in high school that never wore pants?
Had like the long Genco shorts.
Hey, how about the ones that wore the shorts with the hoodie all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was you.
It might have
But
been.
they're the long shorts. Like they come down to like mid.
Oh, to the ankle.
They come down to like mid shin.
Or how about the guy that wore shorts and boots?
Oh, that was big in the 90s.
I kind of do that sometimes when I go fishing.
You shouldn't.
Well, you gotta
Well, that's
protect your
different
feet.
though. He's fishing,
You gotta protect your feet.
Yeah. Is it steel toe?
Yeah. Just because they're my work boots.
Right.
Anyways, let's discuss this fella today.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I want to talk about our Patreon first.
Dang.
I mean,
straight to business
Yeah.
again.
Let's get it in.
Let's do it. Tell us who it is.
Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Absolutely. Ashley, this one's for you.
For you.
It is. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's
More
for
than
you.
likely, it's a bad thing. We appreciate your support.
Mm-hmm.
So let's buckle up, Evil Mob, as we discuss Jeffery Don Lundgren. Jeffery Don Lundgren was born May 3rd, 1950, in Independence, Missouri. He grew up as a member of the RLDS Church. Now, just so we're clear, the RLDS stands for Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
It's a long title.
I feel like you should have made it longer than RLDS
Why?
because there's
that's
so many other.
So what would you have came up with?
I don't know.
I personally think it's a pretty long name. And you're saying you want to make it longer, but yeah. Let's shorten
Just
it.
the abbreviation.
RLDS?
Yeah.
I think it should just be called church. Who am I? Jeffrey was severely abused as a child. Seems like a common theme with many of the people we
Of
cover.
course.
It is said that when Jeffrey was in middle school and high school, he was a loner that didn't associate with his peers and by most accounts kept to himself.
Dustin can relate with that.
Hey, as an adult, yeah, buddy.
Jeffrey was an expert hunter. He would spend a lot of his free time with his father, I'm guessing he thought that if he hung out with his father, he wouldn't abuse him as much, but that's neither here nor there. After high school, Jeffrey enrolled at Central Missouri State University. While enrolled at Central Missouri State University, Jeffrey lived at a house that was specifically built for the RLDS youth. While staying at the house, Jeffrey befriended a girl by the name of Alice Keeler. Alice was also abused by her father growing up, so the two had a similar childhood and quickly became inseparable. Jeffrey and Alice ended up getting married in 1970. Shortly after they were married, Jeffrey enlisted in the United States Navy. On December 2nd, 1970, the two would welcome their first child, a son. 4 years later, in 1974, they would welcome another son. Shortly after the birth of their second son, Jeffrey, who enlisted for a 4-year term, tried everything he could to get out of the Navy by saying his family needed him at home. The Navy declined his request to get out. A few days before his tour was up, Jeffrey was granted an honorable discharge. Once out of the Navy, Jeffrey packed up his family and moved to San Diego, California. Not long after moving to California, the Lundgren family fell on hard times and had to move back to Missouri. Once back in Missouri, the Lundgrens would welcome their third child, a baby girl. So they finally got a girl out of the deal.
Yeah, that's nice.
Moving back to Missouri wouldn't change much. The family was still having money problems, and Jeffrey was starting to become abusive towards his wife. Now, falling on hard times because of money problems is never going to be fixed by having children.
Right.
No.
Right. Or abusing your wife.
Yeah,
Right.
That's not how you get out of those troubles.
No.
It is said that Jeffrey got mad and shoved Alice so hard against the closet door handle that he lacerated her spleen.
You know how hard you have to push somebody?
Let's find out. After all, the abuse by her husband that didn't change anything, because in 1980, the Lundgrens had a fourth child, another boy. From 1980 to 1987, things were pretty much normal for the family. It was in 1987 that the family ended up in Kirtland, Ohio, where Jeffrey was a lay minister with the RLDS Church.
Me and you being from Ohio, I've never heard of Kirtland,
I was going to ask.
I have no idea where it is.
It's got to be a pretty small town.
It's got to be somewhere north.
You think?
Has to be.
The real question is, what's a lay minister?
I don't know.
Well, basically, a lay minister is not ordained. They're elected by the church.
And now you've learned something.
Yes, you have.
We learned that Rex is a member of the RLDS Church.
Jeffrey was also a tour guide with the RLDS Church, but that was short-lived when he was let go for a suspicious theft.
Ooh. Stealing from the church. How awful.
Again, what's a tour guide for the RLDS Church? Like, this here is the bathroom. If you take a left down that hall, that's going to take you to the other bathrooms.
I don't know.
After being removed as a minister, the Lundgrens moved to a farmhouse off of State Route 306 in Kirtland, Ohio. Some members of his old church in Missouri would follow Jeffrey to his farmhouse and eventually move in. Sounds like some Waco stuff going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Other members also from the Kirtland Temple came to the house as well. So that definitely sounds like some kind of compound. While at the farmhouse, Jeffrey would practice mind control on his followers and tell them that talking amongst themselves was a sin called murmuring.
Murmuring?
What?
Yeah. Get this. He would also eavesdrop on his followers and make them believe he could read their minds.
Oh, my God.
Who does that? Is that not funny to anybody else? I can read your mind. I know what you were just thinking.
I was spying on you, but you don't know that.
It makes me think of that movie Leap of Faith.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
The worst part about it is they probably believe him like, whoa.
I know.
Yes.
We were just talking about this. On April 23rd, 1988, a neighbor of the Lundgrens called the police to tell them that she suspected that a cult was forming at the farmhouse. I didn't know that being in a cult was a crime, it's a bit weird and probably put you on a list like we put Dustin on. On April 28th, 5 days later, 1988, a former cult member would call the Kirtland police and warn them that the cult was going to take over the Kirtland Temple. So they're planning to take over the church that kicked him out. On May 2nd, 1988, the Kirtland police chief would have a meeting with Jeffrey and warn him that there were complaints of gunfire coming from the property. Now it's about to get a little wild. After the meeting with the police chief, Jeffrey went back to the farmhouse and called off the takeover of the Kirtland Temple that was actually scheduled to take place the next day on the 3rd. He's like, gets caught, basically, and he's like, hey, cut it out, we ain't doing that. Can't do that tomorrow. In September of 1988, the FBI and ATF ramped up surveillance on the Lundgrens and the farmhouse that they were living in and opened up a domestic terrorism investigation.
It's a list you don't want to be on.
Definitely the no-no list. By this time, 7 of the 12 members were living in Jeffrey's farmhouse. 5 of them were all members of the same family that were not living there. So those 5 family members were Dennis Avery, his wife, and their 3 children. Dennis Avery was a member of the same church that Jeffrey attended in Missouri. When Jeffrey came to Ohio, Dennis sold his home in Missouri and followed him. Other members would say that Jeffrey thought Dennis was weak and he would begin to talk about him behind his back. So that's not looking good for Dennis Avery and his family. Jeffrey believed that every bit of money that his followers made should go to him. When Dennis set up a separate account for his family, Jeffrey got mad and told him that what he was doing was a sin. So Jeffrey seems like a greedy bastard.
Right, like the balls you have to have. Every bit of money you make is mine.
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Yeah, and this is the only family that's not living with them on the house or in their farmhouse. So they kind of need the money to survive.
Right.
He's like, nope. You got your own bank account? You're going to hell. Jeffrey would eventually convince his followers that they needed to seize the temple. So now they're back to this. In doing so, they would need to steal $40,000 and kill anyone who got in their way. However, he would again change his mind and tell his followers that they needed to kill a family of 5 if they wanted to see God. I wonder who the family of 5 is.
Right. This dude just randomly changes his mind. Like, we're going to do this. Nah, we're going to do this. This keeps going back and forth.
Yep.
I don't know.
Now, if you are following a man that says he is basically your way to God, and he says, you know what we need to do to become closer with God? We need to take over a temple. Wait, on second thought, we need to kill a family of 5.
Yeah.
And you think that nothing's wrong with that? You got issues.
A little bit.
So, as a punishment for being disloyal, Jeffrey told the followers that Dennis Avery and his family had to die. I'm pretty sure Dennis was the most loyal to him and contributed more than anyone else in the cult, but
this man moved from Missouri. That's loyalty right there.
Yeah. He sold his house and moved. Like, Dennis, we should have had a talk in 1988.
I wasn't there yet.
I was 7. And April 10th, 1989, Jeffrey ordered 2 of his followers to dig a pit in the barn for the Avery's bodies. Jeffrey would tell all his followers that on April 17th, they were taking a wilderness trip. At a meeting with his followers that Dennis Avery was not invited to, Jeffrey would get a feel for the other members and see if they were willing to kill. All the male members said that they were with Jeffrey in the sacrifice. Shortly after the meeting, Jeffrey and another cult member named Ron Luff lured Dennis Avery into the barn. The rest of the followers were waiting by asking him to come help with getting things ready for their upcoming camping trip. Dennis agreed to come, and when he did, Rob Luff attempted to knock Dennis unconscious by hitting him with a stun gun. When that failed, the other members grabbed Dennis and gagged him and drug him to where Jeffrey was waiting. So if I'm thinking about knocking somebody unconscious, I'm not going to try and do it with a stun gun.
Right.
No.
Right.
So not only are you horrible Christians, you're horrible criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey would shoot Dennis 2 times in the back, killing him instantly. They would use a chainsaw to mask the sounds of gunfire because the neighbors were on high alert. Remember, they had gotten reports to the police in the area that gunshots were going off earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, it's also kind of suspect to hear a chainsaw running at midnight.
Yeah,
whatever time it was.
Right.
yeah, I mean, how well does a chainsaw mask up a gunshot?
I know.
I don't know, but we can try it. After killing Dennis, Rob Luff went and got Cheryl Avery, Dennis's wife, and told her that Dennis needed her help. Cheryl then went to the barn where she was gagged and had duct tape put over her eyes. Cheryl was then taken to where Jeffrey was, and she was shot 3 times. Once in the abdomen and twice in the chest. The Avery's 15-year-old daughter, Trina, was shot twice in the head. 13-year-old Becky was shot twice, and 6-year-old Karen was shot in the chest and head.
Wow.
How heartless is that? To kill kids?
Oh, yeah. That's bad.
It's pretty evil.
It is.
The day after the killings, the police showed up to the farm to talk to Jeffrey on an unrelated matter. That meeting with the police spooked him so bad that he packed up everything and moved to West Virginia with the rest of his followers. Yeah, there's nothing weird there. But that would be like the ultimate scare. Like, you just wasted a family of 5.
Yeah.
Here comes the police, and they're like coming for something completely different than any other reason. But anyways, they show up at the house, and it's like, oh my God.
Right.
They know.
Yeah.
They know. So let's go to West Virginia. After months on the run, Jeffrey left his cult and moved back to California. So he's leaving his followers in West Virginia.
That's bad news.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If one of them gets caught, it's game over.
Yep.
On January 3rd, 1990, a tip from an informant led police back to the Lundgren's farm where they found the 5 dead bodies of the Avery family. So they went back to the farm in Kirtland and found these bodies. After the bodies were discovered, the Lundgrens were plastered all over the TV, and the FBI even joined the manhunt. After the followers that Jeffrey left in West Virginia were caught, they turned on him and helped find him.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, but then again, I wouldn't have been part of the cult in the first place.
Right.
You never know.
On January 7th, 1990, Jeffrey and Alice were both arrested and charged with 5 counts of murder. Jeffrey Lundgren was sentenced to death by lethal injection on 5 counts of capital murder. Alice Lundgren was sentenced to 150 years to life.
Wow.
Those are just your 2 main characters here.
Right.
The husband and wife. Now their son, Damon Lundgren, was sentenced to 120 to life.
Isn't the 120 pretty much life? Like, how old does this dude plan on living to be?
Well, so is 150, but but again, those are just the 3 people from the leader's family, right? I mean, there's still all these followers. For example, Ronald Luff, which you remember as being the guy that lured Dennis Avery into the farm group, the barn. He was sentenced to 170 years to life. Daniel Kraft, another follower, was sentenced to 50 years to life. Now, the rest of these are also followers as well, but Gregory Winship, 15 years to life. Richard Brand, 15 years to life. Sharon Blunchley, 7 to 25 years. Deborah Olivares, 7 to 25 years. Last but not least, Susan Luff was sentenced to 7 to 25 years. And those are the cult members involved in the death of the Avery family.
I think there was a couple other ones, but they were pretty much just let go because they had nothing to do with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's other cult members. These are just the ones that basically were involved in the actual death of the Avery family.
Yeah.
Right.
None of them are smart.
No.
They were not convicted for being smart. What's crazy is they actually sentenced a lot of them, to prison time. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you don't get that many people from one.
Yeah.
One murder. From one murder.
Right.
Get sentenced. Usually they all turn on one person and that person gets the most and you get off.
Right.
Well, I mean, there was one that got more than everybody else, which was Lundgren, who got sentenced to death. The rest of them are basically, you had, four of them that were basically life sentences.
Oh, yeah.
You had 150, 120, 170. Daniel Kraft, with his 50 years to life, maybe he'll make it, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
90.
Then your other ones were like 15 to life, 7 to 25. I mean, everybody did get a decent amount of time.
Yeah, they did.
But then again, 5 people lost their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
3 of them being children.
Kids, which, terrible.
Anytime kids are involved, I think everybody should get the needle.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Probably why I'm not in charge of being the guy that decides that.
I think you should run for governor so we can implement that again.
Yeah.
Roll on too.
Yep.
We're still working on our what was it, the electric couch. That will one day happen. Line them up.
I can't wait.
On October 17th, 2006, a judge temporarily halted Lundgren's execution while he joined a lawsuit with 5 other death row inmates, stating that lethal injection would be painful and be cruel and unusual punishment because he was obese.
Oh, give me a break.
So, you cannot kill me, it will hurt because I'm fat. The 6th Circuit Court out of Cincinnati shot that down and said that the execution could go on as scheduled.
Good.
So even though you're fat and it's going to hurt, you're going to die. On October 24th of 2006, Lundgren ate his last meal of turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy, a salad, and pumpkin pie. Sounds like somebody is having Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
A little bit early.
A little bit.
This is his last one. His final words were, "For my last words, I'd like to profess my love for God, my family, my children, and my beloved wife. I am because you are."
Oh, give me a break.
Wow.
He was then executed by lethal injection at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
That is the story of Jeffery Lundgren and his terrible cult.
Psycho.
His terrible cult. It's like the cult. It's like when you order something off of Wish, what you really get. It's like you wanted Waco, but you got Jeffery Lundgren.
You got the
terrible.
You got the Wish version of Waco.
Yeah.
The Waco Wish goes to Jeffery Lundgren.
Oh man.
I just, I've never been tempted to join a cult, but there's a lot of people that do, and I'm just not sure what you see out of it.
I don't either.
See, I'm the type of person, I don't believe half the shit anybody says. Every time anybody says anything, I'm questioning it in my head.
Yeah, right.
I am. Yeah, I don't believe nothing. So I'm like, hey, no way I'm following one dude.
Right.
If we kill these people, we're going to get all this money and all this stuff. No.
You would lose me the first time you was like, okay, all the money goes to me. I'm like, well, I'm out. Peace. See you guys later.
I like Popeye's chicken, so I need to get that.
I am not a part of this team anymore. I got $12 to my name, and you ain't getting it, Jeffrey. making all this money doing nothing, living on this farmhouse,
telling us you can read our minds.
Well, read my mind now, Jeffrey. You ain't getting this $12. I mean, a culture like that. You've never been like, you never listened to somebody talk about a cult and be like, oh, okay, I could get with that.
Right.
Like most of the time you hear about them, you're like, why would you believe something like that?
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I would be a terrible cult member.
You're questioning.
Yeah,
you'd be talking.
I'm questioning everything.
You'd be like, hey, raising your hand.
Yeah, I'm the guy raising my hand like, so what you're really saying is if we kill these people, we're going to get to meet God.
Yeah, and just ignore the one commandment.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not kill. Doesn't apply here.
Yeah. Okay, so... Okay, I'm down with it. And then I raise my hand again like, hey, so when we kill him, who gets his share of money? Does that still go back to you?
They're going to be like, you know what? We're not going to kill the 5. We're just going to kill.
We changed our mind. Yeah. Kill this guy.
Yep.
Kill him now.
Yep.
I'm like, wait a minute. I have $12 hidden somewhere. I'm not telling you where it's at. And I have a coupon. Coupon?
Oh, that's great.
But that is the story of Jeffery Lundgren.
Man.
Mm-hmm. You gonna make it, Dustin?
No, that was funny. Man.
That's the truth of it, though. I would be a horrible cult member.
Yep.
What you got for me?
Go to Facebook, give us a like.
Ooh.
And strong.
I know. I'm not messing around. You have any comments, ideas, questions, you can email us at eviltransgression@gmail.com.
Nice.
Thank you.
I just want to say something.
Look, now he's trying to be loud.
No, I've been listening to a lot of, episodes lately of different podcasts. And I kind of had to take a break because I was like mentally like drained from hearing about death all the time.
Yeah.
And it brings me to like this episode we just did, like in our podcast in general. Like we keep it to where you can listen to our episodes about true crime and you can laugh. So it's like, you get both. Yeah. So you don't get like
death and twisted humor.
Yeah. Like I can't listen to straight death all the time. Like,
right.
You get in a funk. So
getting a death funk.
You do.
Pretty much.
You do. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Good deal.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I live on watching true crime documentaries.
Oh yeah.
And I've joined the Hunted Killer Club, and now I'm doing mysteries, and I like to think that I am a true crime detective. And I'm trying to solve murders. And then I realized that I have totally missed my calling because I should be a detective.
You should. I can see that.
But I want to be a detective where like there's no danger. I don't want to get shot at or anything crazy. No. I just want to be the guy who walks in like and always has the right answer. Like I walk in and they're like, we have no idea what's going on. I'm like, well, that's because you didn't see this fiber over here.
So basically, what's his face from the center? I can't think of his name.
Ambrose? Yes. Yeah. Or I could be like the...
trying to be like Dick Tracy.
I could be like the Dr. House of true crime. The show House. Where, like, we cannot figure out why he's bleeding out of his eyes. And he's like, well, it's because he lied about riding a bicycle in 1971 and falling on his ear. And they're like, we didn't know about that.
Have you ever heard that guy during an interview? His voice is nothing like
Hillary. Oh yeah, Hillary's friggin' great, man.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, well, now that we're off topic,
yeah, I think that sums it up.
You can also join our Patreon if you go to patreon.com/Evil Transgression Podcast. Or go to our link tree.
Yes.
And you can become a Patreon like Ashley.
Just like Ashley.
Just like Ashley. Like Ashley. Yeah. Crank it up.
What do you got, Joshua?
here's what I got. Nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Good deal.
All right.
I got nothing.
You guys ready to get out of here?
What I do have is an invitation to all of you in the Evil Mob to send us a question to answer on the air, or send us comments, love, whatever. Hit us up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get lonely just looking at the three of us and not having any support.
Yeah, no friends.
Right.
It hurts our heart.
Hurts so bad.
So, come be a cult member.
Join the Evil Mob cult. Send us all your money.
If you don't.
And coupons.
If you don't, it's a sin.
It is.
I was waiting for something dramatic and he hit me with it. It's a sin.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Then he also said, let's kill.
Right.
Let's kill the Averys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, without further ado, until next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Peace.